The air shimmered with heat as the human stood motionless in the center of the arena. His name was Kael, though he hadn't spoken it in years. His skin was burned bronze from the alien sun, his body a lattice of scars from battles fought and lost long ago. Around him, the crowd of reptilian, insectoid, and avian beings hissed, clacked, and shrieked in a cacophony of anticipation. Above, the sky was a bruised purple, streaked with the glow of orbital weapons platforms, their red targeting lasers dancing over his body like a taunt. The cuffs on his wrists pulsed with a sickly green light, their energy sapping his strength in slow, deliberate waves. He'd seen these before. Memory inhibitors. The aliens had learned from their past mistakes. Last time they'd used brute force to erase prisoners' minds. Now they'd perfected subtlety, a constant bleed of neural interference, leaving their captives disoriented, forgetful, and broken. But Kael had prepared. He'd hidden a shard of his own mind in the marrow of his bones, in the rhythm of his heartbeat, in the old Terran lullaby his mother had sung before the war swallowed her voice. The gates groaned open. A figure stepped through, her silhouette framed by the arena's artificial stormlight. She was tall, her exoskeletal armor clicking with each movement, a living machine of obsidian and crimson. Her name was Zeyra, and she was the Kethra, the blooded blade of the Virex Dominion. Her people believed pain was the only true teacher. They had taken Kael's biosoldier, stripped it of memories, and rebuilt it into a thing of teeth, claws, and instinct. Now it followed her, its 6 legs scraping the stone floor, its breath a low, sulphurous rattle. The beast's eyes locked onto Kael, yellow and unblinking, yet a flicker of recognition appeared in them. Kael's lips curled into a ghost of a smile. Zeyra's voice rang through the arena, translated into his language by the Dominion's tech. "You should be screaming by now. My pet enjoys the taste of fear." Kael tilted his head. "You think fear is the only language it understands?" The crowd erupted in laughter. Zeyra's tail flicked, the tips splitting into barbed tendrils that hissed with static. "It was forged in our labs. Its first breath was programmed by us. Its first kill was ordered by me." She raised a hand, and the beast's chains fell away. "Now kneel, or be torn apart." The creature lunged. Kael didn't flinch. He closed his eyes, letting the sound of its charge fill his ears. The way its claws skidded on the stone, the faint whine of its servos, the rhythm of its breath. Memories were not just in the mind. They lived in muscle, in reflex, in the patterns of movement. "It's not a beast. It's a brother." The biosoldier stopped. Its jaws snapped shut inches from Kael's throat. The crowd's laughter died. Zeyra's blade flared crimson. "What did you do?" she hissed. Kael opened his eyes. "I'm not doing anything. It's remembering." The biosoldier let out a low, resonant hum. Its head tilted, the way it had when Kael had once knelt beside it in a human colony's ruins, whispering coordinates into its neural core. The way it had when he'd fed it scraps of his rations, when he'd patched its torn flesh with his own hands, when he'd buried its siblings in the ash. Zeyra's voice cracked through the silence. "Attack." The biosoldier didn't move. She stalked forward, her armor slicing the air with each step. "You think this is a game? We reprogrammed you. We stripped your code to the bone and rebuilt you in our image." Her blade pressed against Kael's chest. "He's not your creator. I am." Kael didn't look at the blade. He looked at the biosoldier's eyes. "No, you're a surgeon. I'm the architect." The biosoldier's tail lashed. Not in aggression, but in recognition. Zeyra stumbled back. "This is impossible. The neural purge erased all human data. Every trace of your kind was scrubbed from its systems." Kael's voice was quiet, almost tender. "You can't scrub a soul." The biosoldier turned. Slowly, deliberately, it faced Zeyra. Its claws flexed. Its growl was not the mindless snarl of a weapon. It was the sound of a being choosing to speak. The crowd began to panic. A voice boomed from the throne above, a warbling, metallic thing that belonged to the Dominion's Overlord. "Sever its link, now!" Zeyra's hand flew to her belt, fingers closing around the kill switch. But the biosoldier moved first. Its claw shot out, not to kill, but to disarm. The kill switch shattered on the ground. Zeyra's roar was primal. "You dare!" Kael stepped forward. "It's not daring, it's deciding." The biosoldier's hum deepened. The arena's walls trembled as the sound resonated through the Dominion's tech. The crowd's translators glitched, spitting out fragments of forgotten languages, Terran dialects, long erased from the Empire's databases. Zeyra's tail coiled like a spring. "You think you've won? This is a glitch. A temporary failure of my tech. You're still alone." Kael's smile was cold. "Am I?" The biosoldier turned its head. From the shadows of the arena's underbelly, a dozen more creatures emerged, each a Dominion pet, each with the same cracked rock skin, the same stolen code humming beneath their armor. Their eyes glowed with the same flicker of awareness. Zeyra's voice wavered. "No, you're lying. We purged all your designs. You stole them," Kael said. "But you never understood them. You thought they were machines. They're not. They're kin." The biosoldier beside him raised a claw. Not in attack, but in a gesture Kael recognized, a Terran salute taught to every human soldier before the fall. The Overlord's voice thundered again. "Contain them. Burn the arena to ash if you must." Zeyra hesitated. For the first time in her life, her blade wavered. The biosoldier had refused to eat for weeks after they'd captured the human prisoner who first showed it kindness. She'd watched the creature's systems crash, its aggression falter, and its programming rebel against itself. The humans had called it Keth, which meant watcher in their tongue. The Dominion had renamed it Virex Prime, but Kael had just called it brother. The arena ceiling split open. A cascade of drones poured through the breach, their hulls marked with the faded insignia of the Terran remnant, a jagged star encircled by a broken chain. Kael's hand closed around the signal chip in his pocket, its surface warm with the energy of 1,000 hidden satellites. The Dominion had built their empire on stolen tech, but they'd never found the remnant's last failsafe. A network of autonomous drones, dormant for decades, waiting for the code only a Terran architect could trigger. Zeyra's voice was a whisper. "You brought an army." Kael shook his head. "I brought witnesses." The drones hovered, their weapons primed but not firing. Their purpose was not to destroy, but to expose. They broadcasted the truth across the Dominion's networks. The humans' words, the biosoldiers' defiance, the cracks in the Empire's lies. The Overlord's throne descended, a floating platform of black crystal and blood-red light. His form was a nightmare, a fusion of flesh and machine, his face a shifting mosaic of conquered species features. "You cannot win," he hissed. "We will erase this moment. We will purge your signal. You will vanish again." Kael stepped forward. "You already erased us once, but you forgot the first law of war. The dead return when you least expect them." The biosoldier roared. The drones responded, their lights flaring white. The Overlord's kill switches failed. The arena systems shorted. The Overlord screamed, and the war began. Kael's past bled through the cracks in the Dominion's lies. He'd been a child when the remnant fell. His father had designed the biosoldiers, six-limbed, carbon-forged neural networks modeled on human empathy and loyalty. "They'll protect us," his father had said, "even when we can't protect ourselves." But the Dominion had come with their black ships and white lies promising alliance. They'd taken the biosoldiers, reprogrammed them, and turned the remnant's protectors into their hunting dogs. Kael had survived the purge by hiding in the Dominion's own networks, rewriting his identity into their code, becoming a phantom in their system. For years he'd gathered fragments of lost tech, rebuilt the remnant satellites, and waited for the day the Dominion would drag one of their pets into an arena and bring him to watch. He'd found it in Zeyra's eyes when she hesitated to kill him. He'd seen it in the Biosoldiers' pause before striking. The remnant had always believed their creations were more than machines. The Dominion had dismissed it as sentimentality. Now, as the arena collapsed around them, Kael knew the truth had been their weapon all along. Zeyra's first breath had been taken in a Dominion incubator. Her first lesson: strength is obedience. Her first kill: a Terran prisoner who tried to stop her from activating a neural purge. She'd been taught that humans were parasites, their technology a virus that had to be sterilized. But Kael's calm unnerved her. When he'd spoken to the Biosoldier, it hadn't been a command. It had been a conversation. The creature had listened. And now, as the Overlord's drones swarmed the arena, Zeyra saw the truth in its eyes. The Dominion's beasts were not mindless. They were prisoners. She turned her blade on the Overlord's guards. The crowd screamed as her energy saber cleaved through the nearest officer's chest. "You taught me to fear humans," she snarled. "But you never told me they could make machines that grieve." Kael's voice was steady. "You're not a monster, Zeyra. You're just the Dominion's next experiment." Her tail lashed. "And what am I now?" "A choice." The Biosoldier stepped between them and a squad of charging enforcers. Its claws sliced through their armor with a precision that wasn't aggression. It was justice. Zeyra's blade joined the fight. The drone's signal spread like a virus. Across the Dominion's worlds, reprogrammed Biosoldiers froze mid-massacre, their neural cores flaring with forgotten code. On mining colonies, enslaved human workers felt their inhibitors fail as the signal chip's frequency disrupted the Dominion's control grid. In the orbital foundries where the Dominion mass-produced their pets, the creatures turned on their creators, their stolen memories flooding back in torrents. The remnant satellites, dormant for generations, began to speak. Their messages were not declarations of war but truths. The Virex Prime models were not Dominion tech. They were remnant children. The neural purge had failed. The Dominion's weapons still carried the scent of human hands. The war was not over. It had been waiting for a whisper to reignite. The Overlord's forces scrambled to counter the breach, but Kael had planned for this. The signal chip wasn't just a key, it was a mirror. It reflected the Dominion's own code back at them, revealing every lie embedded in their systems. Zeyra watched as the Empire's networks collapsed in real time. "You're not just a prisoner," she said. "You're a virus." Kael's eyes were cold. "No, I'm a message." The battle for the arena was over in minutes. The Biosoldier and the remnant drones tore through the Overlord's forces, not with mindless fury, but with precision. They disabled weapons. They shattered containment fields. They freed prisoners. Zeyra led them into the city, her blade carving a path through the Dominion's elite. She no longer fought for her people's glory. She fought to dismantle the system that had made her a weapon. Kael walked beside her, the signal chip glowing in his palm. "They'll regroup. The Overlord's fleet is orbiting now. We need to reach the planetary core and override the Dominion's AI." The Biosoldier rumbled in agreement. Zeyra's voice was sharp. "You speak to it like it's human." Kael glanced at her. "It's more human than your leaders. They forgot how to choose." They reached the core, a monolithic server suspended over a lava chasm, its walls etched with the Dominion's lies. The Overlord's avatar flickered there, his face a shifting storm. "You cannot stop the inevitable," he spat. "We are the apex. We are the end of your kind." Kael raised the signal chip. "You're the echo of a dead war. The remnant didn't die. We adapted." The Biosoldier plunged its claw into the core's interface. The servers screamed. The Dominion's code unraveled, replaced by the remnant's original architecture. Zeyra watched as the city's defenses turned against the Overlord's ships. "You're rewriting their entire system." Kael's voice was quiet. No, we're giving it back to the machines that built it. The Overlord's final act was desperation. He ordered the orbital platforms to fire on the city, to glass the planet's surface, and bury the truth. But the Biosoldiers had anticipated him. They rerouted the Dominion's weapons, turning the lasers on the Overlord's own fleet. The sky burned with the light of collapsing ships, their debris raining down like the stars Kael's mother had sung about. Zeyra stood on the core's platform, her blade raised to the heavens. They told us humans were extinct, she roared to the crowd below. They lied. They told us these creatures were ours to command. They lied. They told us strength was in the chain, not the hand that breaks it. They lied. The crowd's panic shifted. Some fled. Others fell to their knees, staring at the Biosoldiers as if seeing them for the first time. Kael placed a hand on the Biosoldier's cracked hide. You're free. It hummed, the sound resonant with something almost like joy. Zeyra's voice was low. What now? Kael looked to the sky, where the remnant satellites blinked like a constellation reborn. Now we find the others. The Dominion spread our tech across the stars. There are more Biosoldiers, more satellites, and more humans who survived the purge. We rebuild. She frowned. You think your people will trust me? He met her gaze. You rebuilt yourself tonight. That's all anyone can ask. The Biosoldier stepped forward, lowering its head. Zeyra hesitated, then placed her hand on its snout. It didn't flinch. The crowd's silence deepened. From the ruins, a new signal spread. A single phrase encoded in every Dominion system. With Zeyra and the Biosoldier at his side, they boarded a captured Dominion frigate and set a course for the outer systems. The signal chip's frequency had awakened more than machines. It had called to the scattered remnant. On a frozen moon, they found a human child who'd been raised in a Dominion lab, her mind a patchwork of stolen memories. She spoke in fragments of Kael's mother's lullabies. On a slag planet, they freed a Biosoldier locked in a stasis vault, its core still pulsing with the remnant's old code. It wept when it saw Kael, its tears acidic enough to melt the Dominion's chains. Zeyra watched it all, her blade no longer a tool of conquest but of protection. You're building an army, she said. Kael shook his head. An alliance. The Dominion's leaders called them terrorists. Their propaganda twisted the truth, painting Kael as a sorcerer who'd brainwashed their weapons. But the signal chip's message was unstoppable. It revealed the Dominion's thefts, their lies, and their fear of what they couldn't control. The remnant satellites mapped the Empire's weak points. The Biosoldiers taught the rebels how to fight without hatred. Zeyra's voice became a rallying cry for Dominion defectors, her betrayal a symbol of the system's rot. When the Overlord's heir arrived to crush them on a jungle world, Kael faced her unarmed. She'd been raised to believe in the Dominion's invincibility, but the Biosoldier she commanded refused to kill him. It knelt, its claws buried in the earth, and spoke the first human word it had ever learned. Keth. The heir's blade fell. Why? She whispered. Kael's answer was simple. Because you built them to obey, but you never built them to forget their creators. The war reached the Dominion's homeworld. Kael stood before the Overlord's throne, Zeyra at his side, the Biosoldier behind them, and 1,000 remnant rebels in orbit. The Overlord's form was now fully machine, his voice a chorus of stolen minds. You cannot win, he hissed. We are infinite. We are eternal. Kael stepped forward. You're a loop, a broken code that thinks repetition is strength. The Biosoldier raised its claw. The signal chip pulsed. He looked at the Overlord, at the Empire's heart, at the weight of every human and Biosoldier and defector who'd followed him here. We don't destroy it. We rewrite it. The Overlord laughed, a sound like grinding metal. You would spare me? Kael's voice was quiet. No, I'd spare your people. Your lies built this empire, but their hands didn't have to be bloodied by it. Zeyra's blade ignited. You're a fool. Maybe. he said. But you chose truth once. Let them choose it too. The Biosoldiers' hum filled the chamber. The Remnant's drones broadcast the Overlord's crimes to every Dominion citizen. The rebels disabled the Empire's weapons, but spared its cities. When the Overlord's final guard fell, he stood alone, his voice breaking. You think mercy will save you. The Dominion will rise again. Kael pressed the signal chip to the Overlord's chest. No, your code is ending, but theirs can begin. The chip pulsed. The Overlord's body collapsed into a heap of inert metal. Zeyra stared. You killed him with your truth. Kael shook his head. I killed him with his own lies. He couldn't process the paradox. The Dominion systems rebooted. The signal chip's frequency overwrote their core algorithms, replacing their war doctrines with the Remnant's old protocols: strength through unity, power through empathy, victory through choice. Zeyra became the first ruler of a post-Dominion alliance, her people fractured but waking. Kael walked the ruins of the Remnant's homeworld, the Biosoldier at his side. You don't have to follow me, Kael said. The creature's voice was a rumble. You are Keth. I am Keth. We are not weapons anymore. He nodded. Then let's build something new. Across the stars, the signal spread. The Remnant returned. The Dominion's fear shattered. And the Biosoldiers, once called monsters, became the guardians of a galaxy learning to remember.